Impression the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomás O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. There's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to episode 321 of Treaty Talk. We're here to discuss all the ups and downs of Gaelic games across the Treaty County in this past week or so. Myself, Tom Clancy, and Matt O'Callaghan to run through it. And Matt, we will come to it in greater detail. I think the week belongs to SMI. We were there last weekend to see them lifting the All-Ireland C, but we did so much more. But SMI story is a great one for Limerick hurling.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's one of those dream ones following on in Skullpole last year. But what's particularly important about and what is very, very significant in the context of Limerick hurling is this is a team that have come out of West Limerick, which is normally known in Limerick GA circles as a football bastion. And when you look at the clubs, even Newcastle West, who are going up senior this year, they're mainly known as a football club in recent years. St. Kieran's, you know, and to see the like of that, those clubs, Monaghan, Killeedy, Tournafulla, Fiona, Knockaderry, like to see those clubs, you know, all coming together and fusing into a team. Like they were excellent on the day. I thought, Tom, they got a slow start. I know we'll be developing it a bit later in the program, but you know, it's the standout performance. It's the standout performance of the week. There's no question about it. Like, and it was just a thrill to be there, and a thrill to see the amount of people from West Limerick that made the journey to Banagher, and to see how much it meant to them. You know, you can say, look, that's football country over there. There's a huge support for hurling.
Yeah, there certainly is. Yeah.
In all these football clubs, you know, like it's a pity maybe in some way, and I don't want to dampen anything, that in the hurling clubs, mainly hurling clubs, that they wouldn't have the same, you know, love for football, you know, because like they are twins, hurling and football, you know, and it's very, both of them are equally important for our county as far as I'd be concerned.
Yeah, and we'll come to the I suppose, hopefully impending success of the Limerick footballers as well, which later in the piece, but we'll also look at Limerick's loss in the hurling to Kilkenny, among other things. But for now, we're going to start with football, and we're going to talk about football rules and indeed refereeing in general. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Jonathan Hayes, one of Limerick and indeed now the National League referees, and also joining us is Brendan Stack, of course, Secretary of the Limerick Referees and the Munster Match Official Developer. Gentlemen, you're very welcome to Treaty Talk. How's all with you?
Hey Tom, how are you, Matt?
Hey lads, how are you? Good to have you on Treaty Talk, lads.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, it's something we've been meaning to do for a while, and I'll start with you, Jonathan, as someone who's been busy, definitely in the winter into the spring now, with in terms of officiating at intercounty level, whether it be in the middle or on the line or fourth official duties. The new rules or the new enhancements, I think, is the term. I suppose in a broad sense, how are you finding them, and how are they bedding in for you as a referee and maybe your peers in the refereeing stage at intercounty?
Yeah, look, Tom, it took a bit of time because we'd seven rule enhancements, which was nearly 40 different rule changes. So it took a bit of time, but we seem to have got around it. We've 7 rounds of the league played after this weekend. We've a good grasp of the rules. It's actually enjoyable. Football is attractable again. it's not just this over and back anymore. It's there's different things to it. Like you have a 4v3, so you must keep 4 defenders back at all times, including the goalkeeper, and you must keep 3 attackers up at all times as well. So it's absolutely it's what football needed, because it was getting stale for the last 3 or 4 years or so. So it was needed.
Yeah, and it's a challenge for teams and managements and coaches to try and, I suppose, not bend the rules, but kind of learn how to use the rules to suit themselves. It's also a challenge for referees. I suppose I'd say you've been reffing maybe 10 years or the best part of anyway. It's a big challenge for referees to learn, the new rules and how to apply them and all that. So I suppose you've obviously tried to embrace that challenge, but how are you finding that?
Yeah, it's good, but you must stay clued in at all times. So, like, for example, a ball could go in from the opposition, and the keeper can come out and get it, and you have to kind of go, okay, did it touch somebody on the way in? Did it go back deliberately? What way did it go? How did the keeper get there? But yeah, you have to be focused at all times. But like you're lucky enough when you're refereeing nationally that you've got good guys in the line and fourth official and stuff like that who are well clued into the rules as well. No, it's what football needed. I know that people go, oh, it's too many rule changes at one given time and this and that and everything else. Look, it was needed. Jim Gavin had a task to do when Jarlath took over and Jarlath Burns took over as president to try and change the ethos of football. But the problem being, like, motion voted in Congress that the rules can only be changed every 5 years. So, like, it was kind of, right, we need to get all these in at once because, like, we'd have to wait for nearly 5 years for another change to come again. They've tweaked the rules after round 4, round 5. So they've tweaked it so basically a survey was given out to all the major stakeholders involved in it, managers, coaches, players, referees, the whole lot, everything. So, like, they took the feedback on board on what was working and what wasn't working. So some of the things that they changed was 20 seconds for the goalkeeper is now gone. For descent, it was a 13-meter free from the management side of things. That's now a 20-meter. Obviously, you've got the 4v3, and then you, like, the way that works. Was it an intentional break? Was it intentional? All that. So, look, it's needed. Is it difficult to referee? I think the more games you do, the more confident you come as a referee, and you're more clued into it. It's grand at national level. You have the bodies, but, like, when you come back to your own county, like, at the end of the day, we are all club referees. It's how we embrace it at club level, going forward.
Matt.
Jonathan, I'm just wondering there. I think the new rules, they have heightened the importance of teamwork among the referees and his officials.
Yeah, definitely. Just taking my own lads there as an example. We've done a few sessions, myself and 4 umpires, and not just alone about positioning of safe scores and everything else. It's getting to know the rules, each and every one of them, to what's allowed and what's not allowed. Knowing what is and what isn't. Say what can the keeper touch this? Can the keeper where did the keeper receive the pass? All that kind of thing. Say, like, what we would normally do is we'd meet in the venue an hour and a half before throwing. We go through what we're looking for off each linesman and what the fourth official is looking for, especially with the breach now, because you don't really want to be coming off the field where a team loses by 2 points and a breach happened and you missed the breach, and you could be the reason why they winning and losing of the game. So, like, your communication has to be key to them, what you're looking for.
Jonathan, in terms, and you and I have discussed this in the past about, particularly about club games, and the difficulty in getting a full team together on a particular night because we have because we've so many games out, and we discussed it in the context of double fixtures would go somewhere towards resolving it. Is it going to be far more difficult for referees now when it comes down to the club game? because there'll be a lot of referees that, will struggle to get 4 umpires, not a mind 6 officials.
Yeah, so look, we had a brief meeting there with the with some members of the county board there as part of the referees association, and one of the requests we asked was that double headers in football are key, especially with all the rule enhancements going forward, that we have double headers. So for argument's sake, Matt, if you're refereeing the second game and I'm refereeing the first game, I could come along, or you could come along and do the line for me for the first game, and we could get maybe another body, or even another body or two. I could bring 2 umpires and you could bring 2 umpires. So that's freeing up other people to go to other venues to help other referees. We actually only have a small pool of referees. I'm sure Brendan will go into that in more detail in time. But it's the key going forward, especially with football, that double headers happen. Now, the county board may not wish to do that, that's fine. So what we would stress to guys is that if you at least get 4 umpires and a person on the side of the line, on the sideline, away from the 2 teams, to say, look, you're doing the 3v3. So, it's you're kind of looking to bring 5 bodies now with you, if possible. If not, you're going to have to sacrifice maybe an umpire to put him on the line, or whatever way you want to work it. But so that you have somebody doing the 3v3. But yes, Matt, double headers is probably the way going forward. But again, that's to the administration side. That's not something we can say. We can ask, but we can't decide that that's the way it'll be.
Yeah, very good, Brendan. Just to bring you in there, I suppose someone who's trying to educate referees and trying to, I suppose, upskill them at different times. And you mentioned to me as well, obviously, umpires as well. Is there a challenge here in bringing everyone up onto the same page? Because, the rules of football, while they have changed with the likes of the black card maybe 7 or 8 years ago, by and large, they have been the same, and people will get used to have been used to the same rules for forever and a day. But the challenge now, of course, is that people have to recalibrate their thinking around these rules,
There is a huge challenge, Tom, in terms of bringing everybody onto the same page at the same speed and to the same level, and no more than in school or in college or whatever. We all learn at different paces, and the pace of the change has been really, really quick over the first 6-7 weeks of the National League, and indeed we see it changed again before last weekend, albeit those changes are not into club for a while yet. So there is a challenge in that. But to be fair to the team in Croke Park, they have issued us with good tutor guidance and good tutor notes around that. We in turn have delivered that to our referees in Limerick, and actually the fear initially was that a lot of people would pull away from the football because of all these changes. And actually, when we did 3 nights, I did the tutoring, and Jonathan then, as the inter-county referee, was the second part of the tutoring team on that, as was the diktat from Croke Park. We found that we nearly had 100% attendance. Now, there was reasons for people not being able to attend, obviously work commitments and so forth, but there was huge appetite for knowledge in the room and information in the room, and I have been receiving phone calls from referees just before they go out in the field game. Can you clarify rule X, whatever X is, and I'm finding thus far huge appetite to be involved in football games, which was not the way we were thinking kind of back in November, December, when it was all new and nobody knew what it was going to look like. So while there has been a challenge, the challenge has certainly been taken up by the referees, and they seem to be embracing it.
Yeah, and I must admit, I did play one game at Junior B under the new rules, and I suppose it came home to roost, I suppose, without anyone falling out, thankfully, over it, about the challenges that one official will face on his own. But I suppose it's probably no different, Brendan, to any off the ball incident, as it were. If the referee can only adjudicate on what he sees or she sees, if you don't see the breach, you can't really give it. If you don't see other things happening, you can't give it. So I suppose players, clubs, they probably need to understand that the referee will only do his best to look at everything. I mean, at the end of the day, he's looking at 30 players within the white lines, and then he's looking at other different things now, like, is the shot taken from inside or outside the arc? Is it an advanced mark or not? Is it, and plus all the other rules of over carrying and stuff like that. So I suppose we'd hope now, with the new dissent piece in there, and indeed the fact that the rules are new to everyone, that there should be a degree of certainty. Now, I suppose when we get into the latter stages of club championships in this county, that will be tested. But it's I suppose my overall point is like it's going to be a new challenge for everyone, and I think everyone should try and align their views on it the same way and try and get a better understanding.
So just on the point you're making there, in terms of the off the ball piece, I suppose what we will say to supporters, teams, players, team mentors, and those is that if a referee goes to a county league game, for example, and they're refereeing on their own, and they can't get the bodies on a given Tuesday night or whatever, that the referee can only ever give what the referee sees. So 12 months ago, a cornerback levels a corner forward off the ball, completely wrong. Only 2 people there, one fella bleeding, one fella with a sore fist, and you didn't see it. You cannot give the red card because you haven't seen it. So you bring that forward to 2025. The referee doesn't see the 3v3 breach or is unsighted for a line or whatever the case is. The referee will not be able to give that because the referee on the day must see what he sees, and he can only apply the sanction for the foul that is occurring, and he can only deal with all of that piece in the sense that he needs the players to buy in, he needs the team management to understand that actually he's there on his own. He has no one to watch the 3v3 or the 4v3. I've stood on the sideline myself in a county league game doing the 3v3 a couple of weeks ago, and it was extremely challenging, and we had a lot of people behind me saying a lot of things about the referee, saying a lot of things about the rules, and as it happens, the clubs involved didn't have a referee themselves, so they were duly invited to take part, which finished the chat. But the point I'm really making here is, what the referee sees, he'll give. That is no different in hurling. That is no different in football, and that is no different since our games began back in the late 1880s.
Yeah,
Brendan, I'd be very worried about the general public's understanding of the rules. Now, you'll get a certain amount of people that will go out of their way to ensure that they know the rules. And then you'll get a certain amount of people that will know the rules but won't accept them. Because, it's an old chestnut, like the abuse of referees. And where are we going on that? This is not going to stop it. If anything, it's going to make it slightly worse because people will have a less understanding that have been so many rules put in together. And as you said there about the example that you gave of in your own circumstance of that particular night, there are rules there and they're almost there since the foundation of the GA, and people don't understand them. So how they're going to understand the new ones overnight, I don't know.
You see, there's with the rules, I suppose if you break it down to the structure, what are we looking at in terms of our GA organization? Okay. So what is the coach's job? The coach's job is to know the rules and coach the players that they're involved in, be that hurling or football. What is the player's job? The player's job is to know the rules of the game they're playing. So this is ever before they reach the match day, this piece must be done, and must be done in each club, probably at each grade, as you're coming up along. So then the next part of that question is, what is the referee's role? So they all say, you hear everybody saying, the referee needs to know the rules. Why does the referee need to know the rules? The referee needs to know the rules to apply the sanction for the rule that's broken. That's why the referee needs to know the rules. But
and
there's
that
a whole
he sees.
And that he sees, absolutely, Matt. And that the referee is not a coach on the field. And the referee can't be biased against the team. For argument's sake, if I'm playing Jonathan's team and Tom is refereeing the get match, and if Tom lets me take 7 steps and score a goal, he's given me an advantage, but he's also gone against Jonathan's team. So what we have to get to is a knowledge throughout the supporter base, which is difficult. But the coaches have a huge job here, our games development officers, our team managers, and those behaviours, by knowledge of the rules, those behaviours change on the field. And what we have to get to the point on the field then as referees and looking after referees is we apply the sanction for the rule broken. And the second piece of that is we're not seen to give an advantage to any team. The old one, that there's one last play, lads. Why is there one last play? There is a set amount of time for a game, and we play it within that time plus the injury time, and then we blow the whistle because we've no interest in the outcome. But But the acceptance of that, Matt, I think is where you're kind of coming from. The acceptance of the decision made by the referee is very often an unfounded knowledge. That is the knowledge of the person giving out the referee or abusing the referee is not there to where the referee has it. The referee has the detail by and large, and the football rule changes in terms of that dissent piece has now, and Jonathan can talk more to it because he's actually referee games with the new rules. The communication piece with the players, the communication piece with the players is still there. The captain piece steps in is when the team openly want to question a referee's decision, which is their entitlement, done respectfully now under the new rules. But the communication piece is there, and the good referees communicate. And the really good referees communicate very, very well. And the players accept. The player knows what the player knows.
But a lot of this vitriol from the line, unfortunately, is mentor-led.
It is mentor-led, and you see there's an investment there, as in, there was an example there nationally a couple of weeks back where a mentor went mad at the end of a game of the National League. But if you actually walked it back, that mentor lost that game by 2 points. His team failed to get promotion on the back of it because they took him out of the promotion race. So talking about the decisions the referee made covered the failings of his own, possibly coaching, but certainly the performance on the night, So there is a piece of that. And I suppose the other piece of that then is, you listen to, particularly in hurling, they're on about the let it flow game. They're talking about, we must let hurling flow and we can't stop it and we can do nothing to hurling, which is fine. Except that, people say the referee needs to use common sense. You can argue, you see where common sense got us in the Gaelic grounds in Limerick v Galway 2 weeks ago. That could be deemed common sense when in fact it's not common sense. It's just a poor decision, which was acknowledged since, So what I ask people, particularly in the hurling side of things, because football seems to be tidied up now with the new piece with Jim Gavin's team, is what is the rule book of the game you want to see? Because our job as referees is to apply the rules as they're written down by our great association. And that's what we have to do. So we can't let head-high tackles go. We can't let throws go. But again, you're not free spotting, So what we tell the referees, and Jonathan will tell you this, we tell our referees, don't hunt a free. There's loads of frees in the match. You don't have to hunt a free, but you deal with everything that lands at your feet. That's your yellow card. If it's on the throw, it's on the throw. And if it's in the 65th minute, the 5th minute of injury time at the end of the game, it's there. But deal with that piece when it comes to you. Don't let it pass. And I suppose the line we'd often use is, the standard. What I walk past is the standard I accept. So if I let a yellow card or red card pass, I'm saying to the next guy, you can hit a bit higher and a bit harder and a bit more often.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I give you one story, Brendan. I know people will know I ref a small amount of 3A, and I refed an under 14 match last year where I gave a black card, a red card, and I think 4 yellow cards. And the coach of the losing team after extra time was quick to point out that he'd never seen so many cards given in an under 14 match. But I said, well, you're going to have to teach them how to tackle, because as far as I can see, your number 7 tripped the fella, your number 5 pushed the fella, and your number whatever it is, and so on and so on. If the rules aren't enforced at the lower ages, there's an awful cycle, I think, there of you're creating a culture, as you say, that, the next time, sure, I can trip him twice now the next time because that fella Tom Clancy didn't pull me the last day, and I can pull him off the ball, or etc. We kind of need to educate by enforcing the rules, really, as much as anything.
We do, and what I will say to yourself and Matt here on the podcast, you're absolutely fabulous at doing that and advocating for the referees. But you watch a lot of national media, and they're talking about the game, and they're talking about this, and sure, he's not that kind of a player, and this shouldn't have happened, or he didn't hit him, or whatever. The words attempt to, and it's strike or kick or whatever it is in the rules. So if the attempt is there, that's the same as the offence being carried out. And what we do absolutely need is that education piece in the media, because when people are sitting at home TVs watching the matches, whatever match it is, they're taking their knowledge from the former players who are on co-coms or whatever, and there's a duty to our game, be it hurling or football, there's a duty to our game to educate the people watching the game and say, the referee made the decision, it was because of this. It can be right or wrong, but we know what the decision is and why it's given. And you're telling people there that's what it is. Whereas, there's throwaway remarks at times, and it doesn't do any service, and it feeds into what you were talking about, Matt, there, in terms of people feel entitled to roar at the referee because it was said in TV and it was this and that and whoever's opinion it is, when in fact the knowledge was still at the point of where it needed to be with the referee at the point in time of the game.
Yeah, Jonathan, I want to come to you about the dissent piece now in a second, but just to reiterate that point, Brendan, I think it was not to have a go at John Keenan, but that Munster final in 2022, the narrative out of it, I thought was very poor for refereeing. I mean, he in one TV piece, it was great. He let it flow. He didn't give frees that were easy, etc., etc. But then I think there was another piece on RT where there was maybe 5 or 6 red card offences missed by him and his team. So it's we can want to let both sports, hurling in particular, we let it flow, but if there's people getting struck off the ball or getting pulled back, etc., etc., that's the case where the referee didn't do his job to hit to the utmost, missed a few things, Jonathan, the dissent piece, I suppose I think Brendan was touching on it there. There's been a big change now in both codes now where, a change in football that means it's gone away from hurling. So dissent now in football, ball, if it's dissent from either the sideline or indeed some players on the pitch, ball being advanced 50 metres, that's a big punishment now. And I suppose we're starting to see a culture change around that. So you'd hope anyway that will change people's behaviour, because maybe previously 13 metres wasn't sufficient, but 50 now feels like a real punishment for people who infringe on that.
Yeah, it's massive. I've spoken to some of the clubs there. They've asked me to come in just to explain the rules, and I give them a scenario that if, for argument's sake, the yellow team put the ball over the bar and they're playing a red team, and the red team manager decides he's giving it welly on the sideline. So I go over and I give him a yellow card. Now just realise that they've just scored a point, and the next thing is the red team manager's after giving the yelly. I go over, give him a yellow card. I then go in, I give a free in the 20. And I asked the fella taking the free, I cancel the kick out, I give him a free in the 20, and I say to him, do you want to take it for 2 points, or do you want to take it here, or do you want to take it to the top of the arc for 2 points? So he could go, grand, I'll kick for 2. So then they've got 3 points. Next thing is the same manager or a selector decides to have another cut off me. So I go over and I book him. I cancel the kick out again, and I give another free on the 20 with an option to come back out. So every time one of them opens their mouth or abuses you in any form or shape like that, you can keep bringing the ball out. So, like, for argument's sake, it may never happen. It could happen. You could have 8 points got in the space of a couple of minutes because of what happened on the line. Do I agree? Do I agree with 50 meters? Do you know what? I do, Tom. I do agree with it. There's, like, to go back to Brendan there on the captain's piece, like, you're given the free, you're blowing for the free, you're explaining, you might signal for over carrying or picking up off the ground. Players don't want to hang around anymore to talk to you or argue with you, because the problem is the fella that's taking the free could be a solo and go, and the next thing is he realises they're very open at the back, so he needs to get back. He doesn't have time to talk to you anymore. But like the referee, as Brendan says, he needs to explain it. So like we've been told, explain your decision, because I did a bit with the Limerick footballers there over the winter season, and I asked them what was the one thing that annoyed them the most, and they said it was a referee not explaining their decision, or what the free was for. Like, we need to kind of, as a group, get out of that ethos and say to the players, look, this is what the free was for, explain briefly and move on. But the captain's piece, you're going to the captains more to say, look, Tom Clancy there has a yellow card. He's already noted. The next one will be another yellow, or you need to talk to him. And then you'll see the captain getting on and saying to Tom Clancy, saying, look, Tom, need to tidy up, blah blah, whatever happens, manager, take him off. I agree with it. Overall, in the context of things, I think Jim and Co have done a very good job in trying to implement it. They have put a section for the dissent and everything else in for the referees. So like, it is there to protect the referees as well. We're lucky now that we actually have a referee on the FRC in Maurice Deegan. So like, he's, Maurice has been there, done that. He's all the major finals referee. So he knows what it's like from a refereeing background. So like, as I said earlier, football is enjoyable. Like, I remember refereeing a game maybe 12, 16 months ago where a team would come to the 45 and they'd be over and back, and you'd spend most of your time, if you looked at your GPS tracker, hanging out around the oppositions, or both 45s, there would be a lot of it, because it'd be over and back the whole time. Like, you know, it's, you look at the scoring in some of the league games, they're just off the charts. They're hurling scores. You take Down and Westmeath the weekend, where it was 126 to 28 points. Like, imagine Meath, the most high scoring team of all the 4 divisions, were relegated from Division 2, even though they're the highest scoring. Like, we're now at hurling scores. That's what we're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a point well made. Yeah, I think it's certainly changed things. Brendan, if I could be against the rules, I suppose we're in a dual county where people do love both codes. Some people obviously love hurling more. Some people love football more. Are the rules going further and further away from each other now? Because, you know, certainly when I did the course a couple of years ago, the rules were not all the same. That's for sure. There's no point in saying that they were, but they were very much closely aligned. But now, you know, descent in hurling is a different distance. There's different punishment. Contributing to melee now in football is a black card, where, you know, it's not in hurling. Like, and are we at danger here of losing that piece? Because obviously the GA decided to set up the FRC for football's sake, and maybe now hurling will be playing off a different rule book almost. You know, is that a challenge that could come into focus?
It is definitely a challenge, Tom, because our games are now moving in different directions. As you said, they were very closely aligned with, you know, obviously one was with a stick and the other was not, and that was the only real difference. Like, all of the basic descent pieces or the scoring pieces were all the same. You know, we've now a 2-point score in football. We now have orange flags as well as part of that. The challenge will be for us referees in all our county games, or county league games and county championship games later on in the year is, you know, if I try to move the ball 50 meters in a hurling game, or 13 meters in a football game, because you're after switching one from the night before and the other. Like, so there is a challenge there. But again, you know, that's where we'll ask teams to be understanding that our small pool of referees are refereeing everything. And, you know, respectfully, in a game, if you see Jonathan, which it won't happen by the way, but if you see Jonathan carrying the ball 50 meters in a hurling game, Jonathan, just hurling tonight. You know, it can be nice and quiet, and Jonathan will say, come back, and he'll come back and do it right. You know what I mean? So we don't have to let it get out of hand or anything like that either. You know, but there is a divergence there. Whether they'll do something down the road with hurling or not remains to be seen. But there is Willie Marr is in there as the hurling development person there now. So, you know, we'll see what comes down the tracks there in terms of that.
Yeah, the hurling is probably trying to get more people to play it, rather than you know, people think the rules are fairly okay, and there's probably different tweaks. But I think the descent one, you know, I tell you, if the sliotar was bought for 50 meters, you know, it sometimes it probably would make no difference. But certainly teams, and if there was a card with that, I think teams in either court wouldn't be long changing their habits. Just to move the conversation towards local matters in terms of refereeing, lads, you mentioned the small pool there, Brendan. I know Jonathan is one of I think you have 55 referees for the season ahead. Now, 55 to me, okay, I probably know some of the facts and figures behind this. To the layman, 55 probably sounds fine in terms of referees. But then you actually look at it, we have more clubs than 55. We have about 70 clubs, I think, in Limerick. We have county league, different grades. We have, is it 7 or 8 grades in adult hurling alone? We've the 20s, we've the minor championships. This is both hurling and football now as well. Like, you know, there's a huge program of games. So does 55 divide quite well into those number of games? It probably doesn't, does it?
It doesn't really, Tom. I suppose just to give your viewers and listeners a context, in 2014 we had 110 referees in County Limerick. That is now halved to 55 for the current season. So the challenge is huge within that. I suppose within that, the number of games is something around 2,500 games played between Borden and Oak and hurling and football. That's not counting camogie or ladies football within that. So, you know, you just divide the numbers very, very cruelly. You're looking at all your referees being out for 50, 60 games per season, which I don't think any team would ask their club player to do that. So I suppose that's why we're trying to constantly recruit we will recruit a referee anywhere, anytime. We don't mind whether it's male or female, because actually both make equally good referees. There is no difference in that. So that is definitely an appeal I put out there, especially with the upcoming merger between our associations coming in the next couple of years. So we would encourage the female listeners and the female members of clubs into our pool as well. And we've had female members in the past, so we're quite happy to bring them in. But I think you mentioned it there. We've 65 clubs in the county. 30 of those 65 clubs are currently without a referee. And I suppose, just to give it a breakdown, in our city division, we have 3 out of the 12 clubs without referees. In the East Division, we have 5 of our 13 clubs without referees. In the South Division, we have 9 of our 18 clubs without referees. And in the West Division, we have 13 of our 22 clubs without referees. So I suppose, put that in context, we get great support from the Custon and Og, from Dennis Carroll and Margaret Hannon, Mary Hassett and the team there, from the senior board, from Seamus McNamara, Mike Reardon and Frank Reedy, and everybody involved underneath that. That's just a name 3 each. They're supporting us. They're sending out our information. Like, we did a presentation to both boards in the last 2 weeks. A presentation that we developed was sent out to all the clubs, and I'm sure all the clubs did go to their club meeting and talked about the presentation at the meeting, but it really needs to be more than that from the club perspective. I mean, if we're looking for a chairman of the club or a new manager, we'll target the person we want and we'll say, you look like someone, you are someone that looks like someone that has interest in the game, interest in the rules, may or may not be playing currently, or maybe finished playing, or like I was in my own case, maybe not good enough to play for the first team, but certainly would like to stay involved. Will you take up the refereeing activity for us? And guess what? When people do, and they get those first 8 or 10 games underneath the belt, that first season, I suppose, is a real pinch point for us. They tend to stay at it. And the more referees we have, it's a bit like the pyramid. The more we have at the bottom, the higher the pyramid can go. And our pyramid is quite high in terms of the top level guys we have, And what I will say is, in Limerick, we're short in quantity in terms of numbers of referees, but we are not short in quality. Our top referees are doing it at the very highest level. So I would appeal to clubs, appeal to members of clubs to contact the referee administrator.limerick@ga.ie. Our foundation course is starting on Monday night, next the 24th of March. There is a piece online before that, but we can manage that. And we're on again on Thursday night of next week, and we will add a night extra. It's a 2-night course, but we will do a night extra because of all the football rule enhancements. I think it's unfair to try and cram all that into a new referees piece, and we'll do an extra night on that the following week. But appeal, contact us, get us on email, referee administrator.limerick@ga.ie.
Or go through their club if obviously that's the direct way, but go through their club. The club should have the contact as well, shouldn't they? So
absolutely.
Jonathan, I'm not. What year did you start refereeing?
2016.
2016. And tell me, why would you become a referee if someone in the March 2025 is a bit at a crossroads with their GA involvement? Why would you encourage him or her to take up the whistle, and what can it do for them?
Tom, just a brief background on my own one. I snapped my cruciate on my left leg twice. So that's what finished me playing. I played with St. Simon's. We were senior football and intermediate for years. I was at a game one night, an interfirm match, and Mike Mead was actually refereeing it, and he came over to me talking to me about it. And he said to me, he said, I'll put your name down. I said, Mike, I'd be the last person to be refereeing. I said, because I was a little bit mouthy on the field. Brendan Stack there. Would you believe Brendan Stack sent me off in a skeeting one night in a championship match? So that would tell you how bad it was. But no, I did the course in UL and I took it from there. And
I hope that wasn't recently, no.
No, took it from there. It took off. Like, I just obviously played a game and stuff like that. They put me into a minor match straight away, and it just took off from there. It's enjoyable, Tom. It's a way of staying involved in the J. You make so much friends. I met Matt O'Callaghan after a few games at a match. There's other people you meet there. Then you go on the journey. They feel that you're good enough in Limerick, so we'll bring you onto the Munster panel. So I was brought onto the Munster panel in 19. I've Munster finals done. Met more the lads who were more elite back then, Conor Lanes and lads like that, who'd be giving you advice and stuff like that. Then I made it onto the national panel, and there's actually rewards in it as well. Like I've refereed in Chicago and I've refereed in Boston, and it's so enjoyable. Like you meet other people, you stay involved in the J, But the most important part of it is if you're not involved in the J, or if the J needs you, because if there isn't a referee, there is no game. The two teams can be out in the field and warming up and everything else, but if there's no referee, there's no game. And like stressing Brendan's point there, in the next couple of years, we probably will come to a serious crisis within Limerick regards referees, because it's baffling to see. Like it's actually very worrying, because you take the likes of myself and the Johnny Murphys and the John O'Hallorans and the Eamon Stapletons and the Donegal Callans. They're refereeing 3, if not 4, hurling matches a weekend when hurling championship comes around. So you might be refereeing senior on a Thursday night, Premier Intermediate on a Friday night, maybe senior again on Saturday, and junior hurling on a Sunday. And without us togging out, like a team will only play once in a weekend, but if you want to put it, we're playing 4 times a weekend for 60 minutes. That's and that's how worrying it is. Like someone said to me the other day that it could get to a stage where a championship match in Limerick may not be played over a weekend, that a team might have to wait till Monday or Tuesday night the following week to play because we don't have referees. Like, I'm just hoping that the clubs, step up to the mark and step up to the plate and say, hold on a second, if we don't start feeding in referees into the foundation course, we're in serious trouble here. And I know people might say football, a lot of rules and stuff like that. It shouldn't be off-putting. It should be intriguing to know, geez, what is the rule changes? Why is the rule changes? What was the reason? All that kind of stuff. But just, it's a worrying point of view in the sense of the numbers. But, it's, I would encourage anybody to take it up. I thought the same. When I stopped playing, I was a supporter in the ditch. I'd criticised Brendan there for a decision he might give in Rathkeale. But at the end of the day, somebody said to me as well, put your money where your mouth is and put yourself in the position that Brendan is, So that's why I did it. I've many friends made out of it. We've been on a long journey. We've been in places that you'd only, think of being in and stuff like that. I got the opportunity this year in January to referee in Croke Park. It's everyone's dream to play or from my point of view, it's to referee. So yeah, no, I would strongly agree. Anybody half thinking about it, give it a go, because until you try it, you won't ever know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Matt?
Jonathan, just the preparatory work for referees, like there's a misconception among a lot of people that the referee just turns up on the day to referee a match, but there's considerable fitness program for referees now as well, and fitness preparation. Yeah,
so in Munster, Johnny Ryan, with the backing of the Munster Council, has done a top job in the sense of we train every Tuesday night in Mallow. So we have a strength and conditioning coach every Tuesday night with us in Mallow. So we train for an hour. And then nationally, we have another coach. He checks in with us once a week with regards to fitness and everything else. The players are going to a new level, Matt. Football is going to a new level, as you know. Referees at inter-county and stuff like that, and even club level, have to go to the same level that, in a way, that they're going to as well. Like, it's grand for me turning up on a Tuesday night training with the rest of the inter-county referees within Munster, but I still have to do a night or two outside that as well, just to keep a level of fitness. Because, as I said, football's gone to a new level now, in the sense that one pop pass could go 20 metres and the next thing the ball has gone 40 metres up the field and you're lagging. So, it's like the player. He's watching everything he does, gym session, field session, nutrition, everything. All this is key as well now.
Yeah.
A final question to you from me, Jonathan. And I'm reverting back to the rules again and listening to the discussion over the weekend from Jim McGuinness arguing about the value of the two-pointer and arguing, that it was disproportionate that, you get 2/3 of a goal for a point kicked outside the 45. Is this kind of a tip of the iceberg of a start of a pushback against the rules, do you think?
I just think it's a small minority. Just some coaches might find it difficult to get around the new rules, whereas the old game was 15 behind the ball and frustrate the opposition. This is totally different now. It's open football. Of course, there's going to be knockbacks. Jim McGuinness is just not the only Northern manager with the knockback in it. But look, I think what Jim and the lads have done is, in such a short period of time, and with the short window that they have in order to implement change, I think they've done a very good job. Jim McGuinness might not be knocking it further down the line, Matt, when it could be the winning 2 point that actually wins him in All-Ireland later on in July. And he looked back and, he had a bit of egg in his face saying, why did I say about the 2 points when it was actually the winning score? No, look, I'd say, Matt, look, this is going to be voted unless what Jim Gavin has told us is that unless there's a major tweak to be made, they haven't the 31st of March. So the round 7 is this weekend, and then we go into the league finals the week after. Unless they see something that needs radical changing, they will change. But if not, there's a Congress in November that will write the rules into the rule book permanently for at least 5 years. But exciting times ahead, Matt. I think it's what we needed. Football or hurling for the last 3 years has just been off the charts. What's gone on in Munster Championship and in the All-Ireland series, and football needed to go there. Look, the league has been promising. Hopefully, we get an excellent championship.
Yeah,
Brendan,
absolutely.
if I could come back to you, and your recruitment drive at the moment, and you're having a course next week, and you have a number obviously coming in. Can I ask if these are coming in from clubs that already don't have referees?
Some are and some aren't, but I suppose at the moment we have, I think it's 6 recruits. I'd have to check the exact number now, but I think the 6 are after volunteering to come forward as referees. 1 or 2 of those are people who heard our pleas inside the county board and all meetings and the county board meetings who are retired and say, look, I see the plight you're in. I'm willing to go out and do whatever few games of the board and know that I can. But we really need, and that's absolutely wanted. They are as important to us as the Jonathans who's on the national panel, or Johnny Murphy, or Dunica, or Timmy McGrath, or whoever. But there is a career there for a referee who wants it. Right. You can progress on to Munster, to give an example, we've Kieran Gannah, who started from Fiona Castlemahon, who started with us 2 to 3 years ago. I think he was in your course, Tom. And Kieran attended the Munster Academy this year. He did a senior hurling semi-final last year, I think in year 2 or 3 of his refereeing career, showing tremendous promise. Age profile is such that he can go on to have as long a career in their county as he so wants. And that's where we need to get to, because we've a huge tradition of refereeing in Limerick. I'm sure, Matt, you can go way back in terms of the referees in Limerick that have done All Ireland's: Johnny Murphy, Pat O'Connor, Terence Murray, Neely Duggan, John O'Grady, Pat Lane in football, and if I had something on the screen there to show you what our referees did in the last year and a half in refereeing in Limerick, we're punching miles beyond our size at intercounty level, both in Munster and nationally. We are extremely proud of the finals they've done. I think Johnny Murphy is only missing a Munster hurling final to have the full collection of what he can possibly do done.
Hopefully he'll miss it this year as well now.
Yeah.
I hope he'll miss it as well, Tom. Good call. But what I'm saying is, if the clubs can go to their personnel, go to people of a very young age who will take it up, go to people of a middle age who can do it after playing, and go to people of the older cohort, we need them all.
Yeah, you actually second-guessed my next question, my final question to you. What is your message to the clubs that don't have referees? Because I think there's a correlation between the amount of vitriol that comes from the line from clubs that have referees and from those that don't have referees. I think a referee from a club gives a certain amount to the people involved in the club, that extra bit of understanding that clubs without referees don't have.
Look, my talk to the clubs is the 30 odd clubs that are without referees. You have to step up to the plate. We have 12 clubs with more than one ref in their club, and we are really, really proud of those people, everyone that gives of us. But I suppose just to break it down a small bit, we have 8, and this is between hurling and football now, this is not one code or the other. We have 8 senior clubs in the county with no referee. We have 8 Premier Intermediate or intermediate clubs with no referee. I guarantee you, they all have managers, they all have Mayor Fornas, they all have Mayor Ishkas, they all have strength and conditioning, they all have chairman, secretary, and so forth. And what we're saying is, can you provide us with a referee? And maybe that little incentive for within that club might be the club might offer the referee pay their membership. Might be just the start that they need. And do that. Contact us. There's a team of us there between the Referees Association, the committee there. Dunica is chairman, I'm secretary. Timmy McGrath is treasurer. Patsy Coffey is our referee coordinator at county level. Talk to Johnny, talk to Jonathan, anyone. You'll get a number for someone involved in refereeing. Very easy. County board members will be more than happy to do it. Mary Hassett and the team have been brilliant to us there in terms of getting our information into the county board and out, and just come forward, because without referees, as Jonathan said, without our referees, we have no games, and we can't just, particularly underage, with the whole child safeguarding piece now and everything, we can't just throw anyone into the middle of a game. There's whole insurance implications and other things there. The person must be competent. It's the same as every walk of life now. So think of your brilliant under-8 team and how talented they are, a bit like our current Limerick senior hurling team and our senior football team now, as they're going well. When they were under-8s, somebody had to carry them to the training, to coach them the games, coach them the rules, bring them up. But guess what? Someone had to referee their games.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, lads, thanks very much for your time. Been very generous with it, and great insight, I suppose, into the world of refereeing and indeed the new rules. So we're wishing you the best, Jonathan, with those for the year ahead, both at Club and County. And Brendan, thanks very much for that. And hopefully that message has to a few people in terms of the referee recruitment drive. But next week is a big week for you. Hopefully, a few extra knocks on the door between now and then. So, lads, thanks a million. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, lads.
Okay, I was Brendan Stack and Jonathan Hayes to discuss all things refereeing. Matt, great insight there from the two lads.
A fantastic insight, Tom, and a great exercise to bring him on. And we saw it from both sides now, because Brendan has taken the step back from being actually on the field to being involved in recruitment and then all things referee. And we got it firsthand from Jonathan, and the challenges of the new rules and in general the challenges of being a referee. And I think we got a great insight to it. And Jonathan is heading for the top. Make no mistake about that. And the amount of work that Brendan is doing behind the scenes with others in recruiting referees and all that sort of stuff is absolutely fantastic. And when you think of 55 referees and they have 2,500 games to do between hurling and football, and I suppose you can add on the brains of another 1,000 between ladies football and Camogie, and you can see it as an absolute mammoth task. And basically, you made a very good point there during it, Tom, about the sort of the rules of, we'd say, hurling and football. They have diverged in recent times. They've gone, if they were able to do one, you automatically did the other. They're basically, there were always two sets of rules, but there was a greater correlation between the rules than there is now. They're gone further apart. So you add in Camogie and add in ladies football with other sets of rules.
Yeah, they all have their nuances. Yeah, so
you're essentially looking. The common denominator between the four sets of rules is getting smaller all the time, I think, and you basically need to know four sets of rules.
Yeah, you do. It's for sports really, because there's different rules around sin bin in ladies football. There's a black card in men's football. There's a black card in hurling at intercounty. It doesn't exist at club level. you know, and Camogie has certain rules around different bits and pieces as well that of its own, like, you know. So
you'd hope that the integration might bring some of it together, more of it together, you know.
Yeah. No, then, but that's why you look at the challenge that poses to the officials as well, especially those who are probably, you know, there wouldn't be too many ref in all 4 codes, and it's probably understandable. But there's so many that would ref 2, if not 3, of those codes on a regular basis, like, you know, at all levels, with underage schools and so on, like. So yeah, so look, that's that for refereeing for now. Anyway, if anyone wants to get in touch with Brendan, you can do so through the relevant channels, as he said. Indeed, the county board will be able to point you in the right direction, or do indeed get in touch with ourselves, and we'll send you in the right direction there. But there can be no bad time to start refereeing. I can tell you from experience. I know we've joked about it before. I mainly referee soccer, Matt, and like, people will go on about the abuse. I've refed underage soccer now for nearly 5 years, and days where I've walked off the pitch saying, my God, I got an awful lot of abuse there at an underage soccer match. I could count it on one hand. I could nearly count it on one finger, Matt. Like, you know, there is actually if the referee applies himself or herself correctly, there's a natural respect from the players. Definitely the underage players there's very few issues with players, and hopefully then the parents and coaches, you know, over time will fall into line. And, you know, and realize that the referee is only there to do a job as best as he or she can. Okay, back to matters on the field, Matt. I think we'll stay on football since we're on the football rules. I suppose we're football hats on. A draw in Wicklow, Matt, is a very, very good result in the context of the Division 4 campaign for Limerick. It certainly didn't look like a draw. It was going to be on the cards, a bit like the reverse of what happened in Longford all the way back in round 1. Limerick needed a couple of late James Naughton scores to snatch a draw, and I suppose as a result, it keeps Limerick firmly in the driving seat for promotion and keeps Wicklow just a point behind, but crucially with 1 game to play, Limerick in that driving seat.
Absolutely, and you know, James Naughton is in smashing form this year, right through the campaign. And it's a very, very happy position to be in. And I was just reflecting on it during the week, like, and it's a total. It's not a change of fortune, Tom, for Limerick footballers. It's a transformation, because you know, we were belting it out here at the start of the year, about 17 games without a win. There was 15 defeats and 2 draws in that. And I suppose we were a small bit down, I suppose, after the Longford game, and we were saying to ourselves, gee, you know, last kick of the game, this guy comes up and kicks a 2-pointer and robs us of a win, and we were going to say, look, and then we played Wexford at Mick Neville Park, and more than matched Wexford for 60 minutes of the game, and just tapered off a small bit towards the end, and they kicked a few winning points in the end, but you know, and it was a tricky game now, Tom, going to London. Like, you know, normally London would be, you'd be saying to yourself, this is a game that we must win. But on this occasion, it was a very tricky game, because London in the previous game, their previous home game, had beaten Wicklow. So, and you know, in terms of the league, and from a Limerick perspective, that could be a huge result. Come Sunday,
really good, actually.
Sunday, you know. Yeah. But then he got the win in London. Very, very convincing win over Carlow away from home. Tricky place to go, Carlow. Big win over Tipperary. Ran up a big score, and you know, Tom, you must remember. We pulled it out of the fire in Wicklow, pulled a draw out of the fire, but Tom with a very, very impressive score. 1 goal and 21 points. And I suppose that goes back to a certain degree to the rules.
We're getting used to this, man, aren't we? Getting Limerick putting up, what was it against Tipperary? Was it 2-21?
So 2-21, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the highest score that week. Now, 121 wasn't the highest score this week, but
yeah,
it's great to see. There seems to be, you know, the game. I was following the scoring online. I couldn't get to Akram now myself, but like Limerick went through bursts in the game where they conceded, you know, a couple of quick fire scores, but they were quick to reply all through.
I saw the goal. I saw the goals on television, Tom, and I was talking to John Reddington, who was there, and the goals, you know, were definitely of let's say they were of a preventable nature.
Right. Okay.
That's
a bit of a team. That's been a bit of a team, hasn't it, so far in the league? Unfortunately,
could have been prevented, and that's not a reflection on Josh Ryan or a reflection on anybody, but it was just that little bit of a bit of better cohesion there at the back, and they could have been prevented. But to get a draw out of it was a massive result, and because it means that we go down the home straight, we go down to the finishing post with our destination in our own hands.
Yeah.
And
Waterford
it is like you'd scripted that you have the bottom team at home in the final round. Like, it's something you dream of, but it's absolutely something you cannot take for granted. Because Waterford ended a long run without a game without a win of over 2 years. The last time out when they beat London. So they will have a bit of confidence, and of course they've got to play for they've got to prepare for the Munster Championship. They're playing Tipperary in about 2 weeks' time in Thurles in the first round of the championship. So I wouldn't for 1 minute underestimate Waterford. Limerick have to go out, play their game, and hopefully win the game and see where it takes them. Well, we know where it takes them. It takes them back to Division 3 at the first attempt, and it takes them to a Division 4 final in Croke Park. Which must be inducement enough, to get our ducks in order for next Sunday. And I have no doubt Jamili and his management team, no doubt whatsoever, they will let no stone unturned in ensuring that they're in the right frame of mind, both mentally and physically, for the game. And I'd be very, very, very hopeful. I'm loath to say confident that Limerick, this day week, Tom, when we talk in Treaty Talk next week, we'll be talking about Limerick in Division 3 of the Football League.
Yeah, hopefully, and exactly, and obviously with that, it'll be the league final, which Wexford are already assured of ahead of their final round. So look, a big weekend for all connected. It would be great. Feels like the last 2 springs on this podcast between Jack and myself, we've been talking, about the negativity around the results, but thankfully 3 wins, 2 draws, and a loss so far. It's been very much positive in the spring of 2025.
Sure, look, it was awful for the last 2 years in talking about the league, and you felt that you were permanently in excuse mode, and it was awful, but. Thankfully, it has been turned around, and we'll have something to crow about next week. And Tom, also, I was very short of critical last week of the under-20 footballers.
Yeah, we'll talk about turnarounds, Mass. There's a turnaround.
What a turnaround. And I think John O'Grady, now I saw the game, Tom. Yeah, I watched back the game.
Right.
And I don't think anybody could argue with the merit of their win.
Yeah, 15 points to 13 in the end, but they were...
And there were 7 points to no score at one stage. And Tom, you and I were at the Tipperary match, and I think John O'Grady in his post-match interview made a very, very good point. And if you reflect back on it, he said against Tipperary, we created early chances and didn't take them, which is true.
Yeah.
He said we created them today against Waterford, and we took them.
Yeah. Well, the fact they got 7 points on the board early doors, they didn't even get 7 points in the whole match against Tipperary, and they had the chances to do double that really, but they could have hit a lot more early on.
So, obviously, John and his management team, got to work on them over the weekend and learn over the week and learn quite a lot. And they go to Milltown Malbay now on Saturday. With a real chance of making it to phase 2, Tom.
Yeah. The permutations Tipperary are through with 2 wins, and obviously on 4 points, Limerick on 2 points, Waterford on 2 points, and Clare so far yet to register.
I'm 100% sure now.
Well, I think that the margin of victory over Limerick is probably the telling factor there.
Probably the telling factor, but you could have a situation whereby Waterford and Limerick and Tipperary would all finish on 4 points.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I suppose Limerick are currently minus, what is it, -9 or so points, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Waterford are plus maybe 1 or 2,
I
and
think they're
Tipperary.
+1 after they
Yeah,
beat Clare by a goal, wasn't it? And they lost by 2 points. They're
yeah,
+1. Yeah, yeah,
and
we've got a
Limerick.
disadvantage that way.
Yeah. So look,
What
unless
we
look,
need,
a big Waterford win would swing that, but I suppose Tipperary firmly in the driving seat is probably a better way of saying it. If Clare win,
what we need is Limerick to win and Waterford fail to win.
yeah, yeah, that's it.
And
Yeah, well,
you know,
yeah,
I think we're going to Clare with a real chance. You
yeah,
know,
well,
because I definitely saw on the team last Saturday an awful lot that I hadn't seen in the game against Tipperary. Because Tom, the performance against Tipperary was desperate flat.
yeah,
You
we
know,
were
I'm
very
going to go and
disappointed
say
coming
that,
away.
but there's no sugarcoating it. It was a desperate flat performance, but I think he nailed it when he said, you know, you can remember we were decrying the fact that they were missing those early chances. That they didn't take him against Tipperary. They took him against Waterford. They gave him a platform, and here we are now. We're in with a real chance of making it to phase 2, which will be another plus for Limerick football.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I think the confidence piece is the big thing, because Limerick are coming in with a win. Clare on the back of a last gasp defeat to Tipperary. It was a hand passed point, you know, that stole the victory or stole a point away from them, you know, and that can't
And the
be good for
last
confidence.
defeat to Waterford as well.
Yeah, yeah, they haven't been able to see out the results, the draws, or the winning positions that they were in those games. Moving along, Matt, we'll stay on the big ball and the ladies' side of the house. I suppose first of all, SMI you mentioned there in the context of hurling at the start of this podcast. Unfortunately, their junior ladies were playing in the All Ireland final today, but have made
Didn't go their way.
very, very strong Baleborough Community School. I think the game was on in Athenry, wasn't it?
It was on in Duggan Park in Ballinasloe.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ballinasloe. Yeah. Sorry. Mixing up where the Duggan Park was. Yeah. 9-13 to 4-7. So it looks like they were up against a very, very strong opposition on the day.
There was some lady there that got 4 goals for the Cavan crowd. You know, they were Baleborough Community School, I think was.
That's it. Yeah.
But obviously, they're obviously a very strong side, and they know how to locate the net. For the simple reason that between the semi-final and the final now, they have amassed 16 goals.
Yeah, that's some shooting, in fairness.
That's some shooting. They must be an extremely strong side, most of whom must be up on the edge.
Yeah.
Because I did see a profile of some of the girls from Skolmer Ida, and there are a number of under 14s in them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's a big a year at that age can be a big difference, can't it? You know, physicality and athleticism and all that.
It would be fantastic for SMI to have completed the double. But Tom, you've got to look at the SMI thing in its totality. For the simple reason, this is a club that never reached a school that never reached an All Ireland final, and to reach 2 of them in a week, you know, and to win one, I suppose at the first attempt was absolutely fantastic. Do you want to dwell on that now?
No, I think we'll come to that in the hurling, but I think we should tip our hats to the ladies footballers, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What we
go
said
their
to those
way.
is absolutely very well done. Very well done. And they were drawn from clubs mainly around West Limerick. I think there was only 4 clubs involved. You had Fiohanna Castleman, St. Sinnans, Mona Gay, and Old Mill.
Old Mill, yeah. That's good. And I just looking at the way the game went here, I see there's a report here online. They were well behind at halftime. Now I think the second half they managed to get to grips a little bit more. It was a much more competitive second half.
They scored. I think 4-3 in the second half.
Yeah, the second half was something like 4-3 to 5-4 or something like that. So it was nip and tuck by all accounts in the second half. And Eva Power, I suppose, scoring 2-5 as well for SMI. So you know, while not a great day for her team, that's an impressive haul in an All Ireland final.
Well, it's an impressive haul in an All Ireland final, and you know, notwithstanding the final scoreline, but full credit to Eva.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
A lot of these girls have played with Limerick at under 16 level and at under 14 level.
Right.
And of course, Cora Long is she plays with Mona Gay, but she plays her Camogie with Turner Fuller. She's full back on the Limerick minor Camogie team. She won an All Ireland under 16A last year. Cora did.
Right. Multi-talented. So
Cora has done very, very well at full back because she was a wing back last year, but in the absence of Orna Barrett this year, she's been moved back into full back. We'll be talking about the Camogie girls in a minute.
Yeah, staying on the ladies' football mat, the Limerick ladies, I think it's a block of 2 games now to finish out the league. So starting this weekend
2 games,
with a home game.
Out at home and Cavan away.
Yeah. And you would be, while not too optimistic, you'd be hopeful, I think, of Limerick's chances. If they're in a great position in terms of staying in the division. Let's give it a lash now in the last 2 games and see.
Hopefully they're staying in the division, Tom. I'm
thinking up the other way. I agree
up
with
the
you.
other way. That's what I was thinking too. I'm hopeful if they beat Louth on Sunday in Newcastle West, they're in the mix for promotion.
Yeah, set up a final day shootout. Yeah, Louth and Limerick have been.
Just to give the permutations, Tom. Limerick are on 7 points after 5 games. Get rid of the bottom at first. They're on 7 points just to nail the relegation thing. Carlow are on 3 after 5 games, and Offaly are relegated. No points from 5 games, so they can't catch Limerick. So if Limerick win against Louth, Carlow can't catch them. If Limerick fail to beat Louth and Carlow fail to beat Wexford, Limerick are safe. Carlow have to play Wexford at home and down away in the 2 remaining games, none of which are easy. But I think we have a real chance against Louth, Tom, and that will put us in. It will put us on 10 points and on a potential 13 points should we get the better of Cavan, which would be very, very near the promotion. It will be very, very much in the promotion race. And that's how I see it panning out. I see a distinct possibility. And, I had a couple of people spoke to me about, Limerick won't beat Louth, and they won't beat Cavan. I love if people desisted from talking that nonsense to me, but they wear the green jersey for.
Right. Yeah. But they have every chance.
Yeah, but I honestly see, and it's my opinion, that I think Limerick have a right good chance against Louth.
Yeah. Well,
and if we win that match, we'll see where it takes us. We'll take a game at a time.
Yeah.
This was people looking down the road. So we're going to lose the last 2 to Louth and Cavan. Never heard such nonsense.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got momentum behind us. You must remember that we went to Laois. Laois were 3rd in the table. We got a draw there. We've beaten Offaly very convincingly. We've drawn with Laois. We have beaten Carlow very convincingly. We're on a roll, like the senior footballers. And I'd be very, very hopeful. I'd be very, very hopeful of getting a decent result in Newcastle West on Sunday.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Drawing time is 2 p.m. Is it?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in Newcastle West, so a chance.
I'd appeal to people. I know it's clashing with the men's football, but I'd appeal to as many people as possible to turn out and support the girls. They deserve it.
Yeah. They have a chance.
They're putting in a huge effort. They're a good side, and let's come out and support them. And no, they've had reasonably good crowds. I've been at a couple of their games this year, and but they'd still do it more. But let's get behind the girls; they have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So Louth up first, and a victory there would set up a final day to be getting excited about. But all rivals Louth rolling into Newcastle West on Sunday.
We'll just talk about Louth, and we'll let Cavan see after itself eventually next week. Tom, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a final block of 2 games. Okay, Matt. We think we'll move to hurling now, and I mentioned it as well at the start. We'll come to SMI in a second. The Limerick senior hurlers, though, their league hopes finished relegation worries were extinguished the week before, but league hopes extinguished here. 29 points for Kilkenny, 20 points for Limerick. We were in Nolan Park on Saturday afternoon, and I suppose it was a blitz from Kilkenny, wasn't it? From in that second quarter, that basically won them the game.
Actually, the more you look back on it, and I'm sure you've reflected on it, we were together, sure. It was a blitz coupled with a very flat performance by Limerick in that period.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Limerick being blitzed like that before. And now John had to make a couple of changes immediately before the game with Barry Murphy and Garrod Hegarty crying off. Look, in that first half, we were really, really, really second best for the second quarter. Like it was nip and tuck and pretty even enough for the first quarter. But then in the third quarter, we dominated it. And we reduced the 13-point margin down to 4 without scoring a goal. That will give you an idea of the level of dominance that we enjoyed in that period, and we seem to be ticking all the boxes, and it seemed to be the Limerick that we have expected and that we have been seeing for the last 7 or 8 years during that period. But it tapered off then towards the finish, and Kilkenny seemed to come with a final blast of scores again to win it. But how much do you read into it, Tom? I'm not so sure. I'm not inclined to be too pessimistic about it. But we're coming to the stage now where Tipperary in the Munster Championship is looming larger and larger on the horizon.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's only 4 weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
It'll be very interesting to see what type of line out that John will come up with on
Saturday evening.
For Saturday evening. Obviously there's a number of players closing in on a return, but they haven't played. Now, Dan Morrissey played at the start of the league, but he's closing in on a return. But Darrow Donovan, Declan Hannon haven't played any league hurling this year. And I'd be worried about Cathal O'Neill. It seems to be a hamstring injury again. I think John confirmed that after the match. So, it'll be very, very interesting. But for a lot of players that are fringe players, now, there's no sugarcoating this, Tom. There were a number of players had very poor performances in Nolan Park.
Yeah.
And it's not for me to name them because they know themselves that they had poor performances. And it's going to Saturday evening is going to be the last audition for a lot of players to put their hands up, the last opportunity to put their hands up for a place, a starting place in the championship. Yeah. It'll be very, very interesting. Now the goalkeeper is becoming more and more interesting as the weeks go by. Like we saw 2 stunning saves from Shane Dowling for a second week.
We were well. The first one, I think, the high one from, was it Billy Ryan?
Billy Ryan.
Bullet of a shot, tipped it over the bar for a point.
Yeah.
The second one, we were right down. We were opposite the camera sides, as people would know in Nolan Park, and we were right down the barrel of it almost, or behind the barrel of it, as so to speak. And he somehow got a hurley down to divert the ball away. That was
TJ Reid,
TJ Reid, yeah. After they were in the first 6 minutes, so.
They were, absolutely. But I would expect Jason Gillan is going to get an opportunity against Wexford.
It'll be 3 games. It'll be 3 games each, and I think Shane has conceded 1 goal. Now I know that there's more to it than that, more to just conceding goals, but he's conceded 1 goal, and he's I suppose 210 minutes in the sticks. And Jason has conceded 1 goal or has he conceded 2? He's conceded 2, 1 at Blown Cork and 1 against Clare. So look, it's from that point of view, there's no issue there. They're keeping the goal well. The puck outs and stuff is where
conceding goals. I know goalkeeper's job is to stop goals, but when you're talking about very small, the concession of very small numbers, it's not a barometer for making that decision.
That's what I mean. There's no issue. There's very little to separate them there. There's very little going wrong there. I suppose the big issue now is the puck outs.
Jason in on Saturday night, and then it's over to John to make the big decision with Nicky Quaid looming in the background.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it would be. I suppose it'd be fascinating to see who lines out against Wexford, but there will definitely be an in-house game. I think they're going on a trip to Portugal in the interim as well between then and the Tipperary match. So there'll be a few in-house games there. They might be the final auditions, but this is the final one in the terms of in the public sphere. Competitive in public sphere. Where it'll come from. Just to put a bit of a hat on it, or a bit of a cap on it for the Division 1A, Wexford and Clare relegated as a result of that result. It kicks Tipperary into a final, and it leaves Cork and Galway fighting it out directly. I suppose they're playing each other this weekend for the other spot in the final. Will Limerick be happy enough? I suppose the expectation will be that they'll beat Wexford. Will Limerick be happy with the competitiveness, the what has come from the league? It hasn't been flawless, but it hasn't been poor either. There's been good moments. There's been good, the likes of Aidan O'Connor, Paddy O'Donovan. There's been bright moments.
There have been low spots, Tom, but they've been well offset by high spots, and I think John Kiley will be satisfied enough with what he's got out of the league. He has given very generous minutes to the French players to give him, to put their hands up. I think, Kyle Hayes is another one that's on the injured list, and whether he'll be back fit in time for Wexford, we don't know. But look, I think a number of players have put their hands up, but as I say, there were a couple of poor performances in Kilkenny, Tom.
There was, yeah. No, I think just looking at the league, and this can happen every year. We kind of can get carried away, for better or worse, about performances of players. Now, obviously, I think you're better to be performing well than not, this time of year. But you can look back, Matt, for the last 4 or 5 seasons of Limerick players, certain players, people will know who they are, playing very well in league games and not getting within an ass's roar of playing in the championship. Yeah. They're very much viewed by Limerick anyway as 2 separate competitions, 2 separate kind of seasons nearly in their own way. I know they run almost up on top of each other, but it's very hard to put any real substance on it. But those who played a lot did themselves no harm. I think the guys who played 5-6 league games have done themselves no harm. And you mentioned minutes there. John Kiley said hours, and I think he was conscious.
Absolutely. He changed.
Some players have got hours. Yeah, they've got hours of intercounty experience, which is great for them and great for their development. Yeah. Even Adam English, he seems to be around for a long while, but he hasn't played that much intercounty senior, and he's after getting a load of games now at midfield, getting into the rough and tumble of it. So it's it augurs well, I suppose, for what's to come in the springtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I overall, it hasn't been a bad campaign. In terms of giving players an opportunity, seeing where the established players are at, which is very, very important as well. And you can focus in too much, Tom, on the Clare game. And a lot of that stems from the rivalry with Clare. And, the first half against Kilkenny, it was nearly a game of the third, the second and third quarters, really, if you like, rather than a game of 2 halves, because it seemed to peter out for some reason after Limerick bringing the margin down to 4. Overall, I think John Kiley and his management team will be quite happy with what they have seen over the league, and they'll have derived from it what they want, I would imagine. And will we get an idea of what the championship team will be on Saturday night? Not a hope, I'd say.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. There's so many players with short-term injuries as well that they'd be hoped to clear. They won't be cleared up in a week's time, in the space of a week, but they'll probably hope to clear them up in the space of 5 weeks. So a lot will change between now and then. Okay, staying on the hurling team, we mentioned it at the start. SMI defeating Trim in the All Ireland Colleges C final. That competition, of course, we mentioned that Skull of Kilfinnan won 12 months ago. I wish I had the video to hand here, Matt, but some superb hurling played by SMI, and I think that second goal in particular was one of real beauty, right out of the Limerick senior hurling playbook in terms of short stick passing, finding the player in space, and then a finish then to match it as well from it was Gavin
There,
Dorgan.
there were 5 players involved in it, Tom.
Yeah.
And the ball changed direction, was it 3 times before it eventually came to Gavin Dorgan. And like, it was absolute perfection. The handling, the offload, the running into the space, absolutely, you couldn't. I said it to Jeremiah Maroney after, and he said, look, we practiced this.
You never think it'll come off, I think is what he said to me. I said, Jesus, I said,
come off in 1 or 20 or 30 or 40 games, it'll only come off once.
Yeah.
But by God, what a day. But it actually, it was the crucial score, Tom, because SMI went in at halftime 4 points up. Now, make no mistake about it, SMI were very shaky in the first 10 or 15 minutes.
They relied on their defenders to dig them out of a few holes,
But once they settled into their stride, they seemed to exert a level of control without ever, you'd have to say, even in the second half, putting Boyne away.
Yeah.
Like Boyne were in with a chance, like. And it was 1-5 to 4 points at halftime. The Meath crowd got a point straight after halftime. But then that goal, Tom, it was a killer for any side. And it took them a long, long time to regroup. And they had a fresh breeze with him in the second half, Boyne had.
Yeah.
And like they kept plugging away and they got a couple of points. And the next thing they got a goal and there was only 2 or 3 points in it. But Tom, the response from SMI at that stage, we saw Gavin Thompson. He caught 2 incredible balls, one after another. Straight after the goal, he picked up one, caught it high in the air, and offloaded it, and SMI got a point. Very, very crucial score at that stage. Any doubts they would have had after the goal, it really settled them straight away. But overall, I thought that, and I think I said it in this podcast, Tom, that I thought, and this is full credit to Kevin O'Brien and Jeremiah Maroney, and I think you from what you've seen of them last week, they were an extremely well-coached team.
They were. I would describe them, and this is sometimes is a backhanded compliments to teams, but they were very, very hardworking. Like,
yeah,
and I mean it as a full compliment, because I don't think Boyne were that much skill-wise maybe inferior. There wasn't much in it skill-wise.
No, you're absolutely right. But the SMI work rate in the first half,
when the need was greatest,
wasn't what the boys, what Kevin and Jeremiah had expected. But by God, they rectified it in the second half, Tom.
Yeah. Oh, and I would say, I would caveat what you say about the first half by, maybe overall it wasn't going well for them, but their back 6 in the first half were immense, really. They only conceded 4 points. They had to give away a few frees and whatever, but like they got themselves out of some real pickles, in the first half when if Boyne had been a bit sharper, could have easily been ahead at halftime, and that would have really changed the dynamic of the game. But they're back.
But Tom, I suppose we have to speak about the incredible fullback that they have.
Yeah, go for it.
He's just a player for the ages, isn't he?
I'm struggling to think of his name now, but I can picture him now with the Odrin Kelleher of Kilkenny, wasn't it? Yeah. He got in a couple of great blocks early on and a few hooks and stuff, and pulled a few out of the sky.
Patrick Cagney at centre back was terrific, I thought. You had, I don't like naming players, but Gavin Thompson and Dermot Lyons definitely got a very, very strong pull at midfield in the second half. And you had score hungry forwards. Now they missed a few chances. They weren't trying taking them on though. They had a few bad wides, but they were prepared to take them on. That is the point. And I would say, Tom, overall in my summation of it, a 5-point win does not flatter SMI. It flatters Boyne, a 5-point defeat, because I thought the level of control, apart from the goal, and the goal came from a free. Now, it was a daisy cutter. If you look back in it, It was damn hard to stop, I would say, and it got in. But overall, Tom, it was a great day for SMI first of all, but a fantastic day for West Limerick and for Limerick hurling. And just an interesting point, Tom. They'll move up to B next year, and there are 14 players that were used last Friday eligible the coming year.
Yeah, 14 out of the 17. They only brought on 2 subs, I think, didn't they? Or 3, was it 2? Yeah, that's incredible stuff.
But there's 14 of them eligible to play next year. So, Munster College's B hurling, SMI, here we come.
Yeah, watch out. They'll give it a fair go, I think, at the higher
give
grade
it a
next
fair
season.
rattle. Now, that includes Patrick Cagney, who will be among that group, because you must remember that he's a member of the Limerick under-20 squad this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, so it's good times ahead and good times in the present, of course. Now, yeah. So congratulations to all connected.
But that's huge congratulations to him. And I spent a couple of hours in the school beforehand, and the principal, Michelle Thompson, is hugely sport driven, absolutely, and driven towards the promotion of Gaelic games. And the lads will tell you that her support is unstinting in when it comes to sport in the school. And hats off to them all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she got a good mention in the post-match speech. Absolutely deserved, I'm sure.
Absolutely deserved,
Yeah. Okay, so that's SMI, and that's I think hurling for this week. Matt, moving to Camogie, the Limerick senior Camogie side were in action in Zimmer Biomet Park Kisog. Jeez, I was practicing that one all day. Unfortunately, 2 first half goals, I think, was
I cut and pasted, Tom.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Clare, the league leaders, getting the better of Limerick in this one. A youthful Limerick side again. I think they managed to get 23 players onto the pitch as well in the finish.
They did, and you had a couple of debutants like Lisa English, Robin Condon in goals. I think there was 1 or 2 more around the field that started and there was a couple of starting for the first time this year. So the situation in the league, just Tom, to explain to viewers and listeners, Antrim, dare I use that word, Antrim and Wexford have qualified for the final.
Right.
The relegation is between 3 teams.
Sorry, Antrim and Wexford? Clare, no?
Sorry, Antrim and Clare. My apologies.
Yeah.
Wexford lost to both Antrim and Clare, sure.
Yeah. Relegation-wise?
Relegation-wise, Down are on 2 points. Limerick are on 2 points. Westmeath are on no point. So the situation is, if Limerick win, we're safe. If Limerick draw, we're safe. If Limerick lose, we're probably safe, because unless Down get a result. Now, if Down were to avoid defeat and we lose, we're relegated on the head-to-head.
Okay. Yeah, that's the challenger. That's the difficulty. Hopefully, obviously, Limerick can get their second win of the campaign, and that'll take care of it all. Won't really itself, won't it? So that'll be the plan A, really, won't it, for Joe Quaid and Co.
Yeah.
Get their second win of the campaign, but.
My plea to the president of the Camogie Association earlier on this year, Tom, about communications and fixtures, must have fallen on deaf ears, because here we are on Wednesday night and we don't know where Limerick are playing Westmeath.
Yeah, look, we've been down that road so many times. We were nearly sick of mentioning it.
I'm not tempted to do my head in going down that road anymore.
Don't. The Limerick Camogie underage teams, Matt, where are they?
The Limerick Camogie underage
teams,
minors are through top of the table. They had a 1-point win over Clare and Father McNamara Park. So the quarterfinals are on in 2 weeks' time. Tip and Galway, I'm not 100% sure. Kilkenny are playing Galway. and
Right.
Tipperary are playing Wexford. And we're going to play the winners of one of those in the All-Ireland semi-final. Cork are through to the semi-final on the other side. Our under-16 team kept their faint hopes of retaining their title alive. They drew with Tipperary in Glenroe last Saturday, and they played Dublin this weekend, again in Glenroe. And a win is absolutely necessary because they face Cork in the final round, and they're battling to stay afloat in the competition. But there's nothing, that 2 wins wouldn't resolve. So if they can beat Dublin and Cork in the remaining games, I think they should make it into the quarterfinals. But we just got to wait and see how that evolves, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. Well done to the minors anyway. In particular, 3 wins from 3.
Well done, Tom. It's fantastic, and I think that looking at the team sheet, I saw the first 2 games, Tom, and I was hugely impressed with them. And I think Dermot Ryan and his management team, I think they made a number of changes because they were in the semi-final anyway.
Yeah.
But
Let's have a look at a few options. Yeah.
Combinations. Have a few options because there are bigger games down the road. But we have an All-Ireland semi-final, an All-Ireland A semi-final. May I stress? I can't stress that enough. It's the top level to look forward to, and who knows, and hopefully an All-Ireland final further down the road.
Absolutely, yeah. So next month for that semi-final, I think we'll see who the opposition is in due course. But that's it in terms of Camogie this week. Matt, anything else on the agenda? I think we've covered loads there in the 90-odd minutes of podcast so far.
But I suppose it's only fair that we would extend our sympathy to the Fitzgerald family and Middleton GA Club and Cork GA and the sad untimely passing of Ger Fitzgerald over the weekend, on St. Patrick's Day, actually. I remember him as a great hurler with Cork. He often made me pull my hair out when he gets scores against Limerick. But he was a great hurler, great sportsman, and won 2 All-Irelands with Cork, won 2 Munster Club medals, 4 county championship medals, 1 All-Ireland medal with Middleton, won 3 Munster Senior Hurling Championship medals, and was just 60 years of age, and it's very, very, very sad, when somebody that, that we, as I said, sometimes he tormented us, but, we all enjoy good hurlers when we see him playing, and it's so sad to see him passing at such a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very sad indeed, and we extend our sympathies to his family and indeed friends, clubmates, and everything, and everyone involved in Middleton GA and the wider community there as well. So, okay, on that somber note, we'll wrap up this.
A great club down there. I think Dave Boylan, who's well known in Limerick circles, originated from the Middleton club. So, we have connections.
There's a bit of a Limerick connection there. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So sad about Ger Fitzgerald.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Folks, thanks very much for tuning in. Do feel free to share the podcast, especially those who may be interested in the refereeing side of things that we had earlier in the piece. Thanks to Jonathan and Brendan earlier, and we'll talk to you again.